Hello, my name is Fiachra Ó Luain. You're joining me in Donegal in the northwest of Ireland. As some of you may know, in Ireland we have a referendum on the 2nd of October on the Lisbon Treaty. It's the second time we've got a referendum on this treaty. And I thought I would share some thoughts with you, both those in Europe, also those in Ireland who might know my story, but also the general audience of anyone who might be interested in what's going on here at the moment in Ireland and this whole debate. More or less, if Ireland votes yes or no, the future of Europe will be one way or another. If we vote in favour of the Lisbon Treaty, a new European Union will come into effect, and as we're the only people with a vote on this issue, it is a big burden, and it's also very important that international citizens are included in this debate, because it will affect much more people than just the Irish. I was a candidate in the European election this past June 2009, and I want to share with you my own experience of electoral politics in Ireland. During the electoral count, 3,000 of my votes were misallocated. 3,000 votes were misallocated from my bundles to the bundles of another candidate, Mr. Declan Ganley. This is very unusual, and it's just not acceptable that this could have ever happened in the first place. So what I did was I called the police, I called the Garda Siochána as soon as possible, as soon as I knew, and I presumed that the Gardaí would take this matter with the seriousness that it requires and investigate it as fully and as in-depth as possible. And I gave them a free rein to investigate it, and I wanted to cooperate as fully as I could and to help them identify anyone who might be able to shed light on the issue. I have to make this YouTube video to let people know that unfortunately after 3 months the Irish police, the Garda Siochána, have not only not come up with a sufficient explanation as to how this could have happened, but I'm entirely unsatisfied with how they went about it. I will explain that the same Garda who was in charge of the election count when the 3,000 votes originally misallocated was then put in charge of the investigation into how they went missing. Now, this didn't really seem like a solid footing to start a transparent investigation on, so I raised this issue with the superintendent and later with the Garda Commissioner Fiachra, the most senior Garda Siochána in the country, because I think for everyone to have confidence in the electoral system, we need to know how mistakes or how this can occur, why and how, and if it was a simple mistake, a simple explanation. But my major concerns are actually over the Garda investigation, not just over how the votes went missing, because after 3 months of a supposed investigation, the Garda Siochána have not come up with a proper explanation. They have not interviewed anyone apart from myself and the returning officer, and all they did was ask the returning officer, who refused to give a statement. Now, this was not satisfactory. This doesn't give me confidence in the electoral system, and I don't think it should give the Irish citizens much more confidence, or indeed the European citizens who would be affected by the result of our Lisbon referendum, and I will come back to that later. I raised the issue with Garda Commissioner Fiachra, and when I discovered that the returning officer refused to give a statement, I was quite surprised. So I consulted the law, and I saw that in section 17 of the European Electoral Act of 1997, it says that if any doubt arises as to the duties of the local returning officer, the doubt shall be determined by the Minister. And the Minister is the Minister for Environment, Heritage and Local Government, Mr. John Gormley. So I wrote to Minister John Gormley 3 times, and I asked him to determine whether it was the duty of the returning officer to give a full statement to the Garda Siochána and to provide a list of everyone who had contact with the ballots at the time that they were misallocated. I did not receive a response from an adequate response from the Minister, and I have not received an adequate response from any of the Garda authorities. I have gone to all the correct people, and I have not received any assurances that this was just an irregularity. And actually, the nature in which the Garda Siochána investigated raises more suspicions than it lays to rest. That is my major concern. Now, I'm making this YouTube video because I've attempted to go to RTE. I told one of the directors of RTE that I wanted to withdraw my statement that I made when I said that I had utmost confidence in the Garda Siochána. I want to withdraw that statement now because going along with my experience, I do not have any confidence that the Garda Siochána are investigating this matter with the seriousness it requires. And in the words I wrote to the Garda Commissioner, I said it now resembles more of a cover-up than an investigation. I told this to one of the directors of RTE, and I said I wanted to get this out before the referendum because I think it's important that I let people know before the Lisbon Treaty that it is, in the words of the Garda investigating it, not guaranteed that all the votes will be counted. The Guard told me that. I asked, so are you telling me that there are no guarantees that thousands of votes will not be misallocated in the Lisbon referendum? And he told me no, there are no guarantees. That's not satisfactory. It's not satisfactory for me as an Irish citizen, and it should not be satisfactory for anyone who lives in the European Union or anyone who cares about democracy at all. So I approached the media, and the national media said it looks like it's too controversial for them. I'm not trying to get any political capital. I'm not actually calling into question the result of the European election. It wouldn't have made me an MEP, but that's not the point. The point is that in 1995 we had a referendum on the divorce, and that was decided by a margin of 9,114 votes, and on the basis of that, divorce became legal in Ireland in 1995. So this is the second time we get to vote on the Lisbon Treaty. It is the same constitution that the Dutch and the Netherlands, the Dutch and the French rejected, and we literally have no guarantees that all the votes will be counted. Therefore, we have no guarantees that the result of the Irish referendum will be accurate, and this causes me a lot of concern. So I wanted to share that with you, and I want you to perhaps consider letting people know, not just in Ireland but also in European countries, that unfortunately the Irish electoral system at the moment, as it looks, cannot be trusted with the outcome of the Lisbon referendum. And as we are the only people with a vote on the Lisbon referendum, I think it's very important to get that message across, because I, for one, do not want Ireland to become Europe's Florida. People need to be aware of vote misallocation. It's a very serious issue. And my own election agent, who's a UN and EU credentialed election monitor, who has worked in Zimbabwe and places like this, tells me that it looks like there was at least some sort of voter fraud that we cannot identify at present, and definitely lacking a thorough Garda investigation, and with the senior ranks not helping in the Garda Siochána, it leaves this Lisbon referendum open to fraud. So that's really my message. Thanks very much for watching. If you have any queries, please get in touch with me. My email address is Fiachra, Fiachra, for Europe, EUROPE, @gmail.com. And I would be glad to hear from anyone with queries about this issue, because I do think it's very important. Thank you very much.